Welcome to the Classic Soap Operas podcast. Today, we are diving headfirst into, well, the timeless, often completely outrageous, and always dramatic world of daytime television. And specifically, we're talking about a legendary staple, one that's kept so many of us hooked for decades. Days of Our Lives.
That's right. And if you've been paying attention to the whispers coming out of the fictional town of Salem lately, there's this real wave of nostalgia building. And it's bringing a face back into the spotlight that, well, many fans haven't seen walking around the town square in quite some time.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how these shows, these really long-running shows, manage to keep weaving new stories while constantly, tapping into their own rich history.
Exactly. And this particular piece of news is just a perfect example of that connection to the past. We've actually pulled together quite a bit for this deep dive. We've got recent articles, reporting the news, updates from the show's official channels, and even some pretty comprehensive notes on the characters' very deep history, all to help us really understand the significance of this comeback.
Right. So our mission today, really, is to take all this information, this whole stack, and kind of distill it down. We want to pull out the most important stuff, the surprising facts maybe you've forgotten, and get to the core reasons why this specific character's return is causing such a stir, among the fans.
Yeah, getting to the why behind the buzz. Not just, okay, this person's back, but why does it matter so much?
Totally. Think of this as your, essential guide to getting completely up to speed on this major day's development.
And there's definitely a buzz with this one. No question.
Okay, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right into the main piece of news that really kicked all this excitement off.
All right, so the big announcement, the one that really grabbed everyone's attention recently, is the confirmation that actor Patrick Muldoon is officially returning to the Days of Our Lives set.
And this wasn't just some, quiet memo or little mention in a trade paper, was it? The show really, they really leaned into the moment.
Oh, yeah. They announced it in a really fun, kind of engaging way. It was on their official Instagram account. They posted this quick, playful video, a reel, featuring Muldoon himself, making his way back to where all the magic happens.
Oh, I saw that. Describe it for us. It was pretty funny.
It was great. It showed Muldoon walking through a door there at the Burbank studios where Days tapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's wearing sunglasses, and he does this little bit where he's pretending he's not sure where he is, looking around like, am I lost? Is it Studio 4, Studio 2?
As if he wouldn't know the way after all this time. It was a nice touch, kind of playing along.
Exactly. Total setup. And then the reveal, he finds his destination, Studio 1, and he just beams, exclaiming, "Oh my God, I'm in Salem. It feels good to be back."
It really hits you right in the nostalgia, especially if you remember his first run.
Totally. And Muldoon himself, our sources mentioned he's 56 now. By the way, he also shared the announcement on his own social media. He seemed genuinely excited too.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a return he's looking forward to, which is great to see.
And the show's caption on that Instagram video, it really added to the intrigue. It posed a big question everyone's asking now. Who is that wandering around Salem, and why?
Oh, the why. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And definitely something we need to dig into later.
Absolutely. Yeah. But first, there's a really crucial piece of context here, especially for Days fans, and that's the production schedule.
Oh, yeah, that's super important with Days. Our sources really highlight this. The show films its episodes way, way in advance.
We're talking months and months ahead. It's quite significant.
So this is key for managing expectations, right? Because even though Patrick Muldoon is taping these scenes right now, mid-June 2025.
Right, according to our sources, that's when he's filming. But viewers, you won't actually see Austin Reed pop up on your screens for quite a while. We're looking at roughly a 9-month delay between taping and when it airs.
9 months, wow. So that means his return probably won't hit our screens until, early 2026?
That's the most likely timeline, yeah, early 2026.
So fans get this exciting news now, this little taste, but then there's this long wait to actually see how it all plays out on screen.
It really builds the anticipation, though, doesn't it? That gap is kind of a unique thing in the soap world.
Okay, so the big news is out. Patrick Muldoon is back. He's taping as Austin Reed. But for anyone who maybe didn't watch back in the 90s, or even if you just need a refresher, well, we have to talk about who Austin Reed actually is.
Oh, absolutely. Because his history in Salem is why this return is such a significant thing.
So let's dive into that. Who is Austin Reed?
Okay, so Austin Reed first arrived in Salem way back in July 1992. And he was played, of course, by Patrick Muldoon, who originated the role. He was the first Austin. And he didn't just show up alone, sort of in a vacuum. His arrival immediately started tying him into the existing families and setting up these really long-running stories.
Right, he came in as an aspiring boxer, wasn't he? Which gave him an instant connection to characters like Roman Brady.
Exactly. And then, just a few weeks later, his sister, Billy Reed, showed up. His troubled sister.
Ah, Billy. Yeah, that added a whole other layer to his story right away.
And their early storyline, it was really rooted in this super complex family history. A history that would eventually connect them to one of Salem's biggest families, the Roberts clan. It turned out they were the children of Curtis Reed and Kate Roberts.
Kate Roberts, wow. But there was a huge twist, right? It wasn't straightforward.
Not at all. Their father, Curtis, had actually taken the kids years ago and changed their names. Their original last name was Brown. He did it to hide them from Kate.
Whoa, so finding out Kate was their mom was a massive reveal, and that meant...
It meant Lucas Horton was their half-brother, through Kate. Big implications for the family tree.
Really shook things up. Now, it's important to mention, while Patrick Muldoon was the original Austin, and he's the one coming back now, he wasn't the only actor to play Austin Reed, right?
That is a crucial point, especially for understanding maybe some of the fan reactions you see online. Patrick Muldoon had that really influential first run from 1992 to 1995, and then he came back later, from 2011 to 2012.
Okay. But in between, and even after...
Right. The role was famously recast in 1995 with actor Austin Peck. And Austin Peck actually played Austin for significantly longer, if you add up all his stints. Peck was Austin from 95 to 2002, then again 2005 to 2006, and he did several returns later too, 2017, 2019, and even 2021.
Okay, so Peck played him for a lot longer overall, and he was the one in the role more recently, like in those spin-offs.
Exactly. When Austin appeared in recent years, including those spin-offs we'll mention, it was usually Austin Peck.
So that explains why hearing Patrick Muldoon is back specifically hits differently for fans who remember that original 90s run, that original Austin vibe.
It really does. It speaks to the impact Muldoon made when he originated the character. And speaking of those spin-offs, Austin Reed definitely popped up beyond the main show.
Right. Our notes say he was in that 1993 TV movie, Days of Our Lives, Night Sins. That was Muldoon, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
But Austin Peck played the role in the later ones, like the 2019 digital series Chad and Abby in Paris and the 2021 Peacock series Days of Our Lives Beyond Salem.
Gotcha. So the character has stayed around, but the real core of his legendary status among fans, that really comes from his early years, doesn't it? And one specific, absolutely unforgettable storyline.
Oh, you know where we're going with this. The epic love triangle.
The one that basically defined an era for so many days viewers. Austin, Carrie, and Sammy. This is where the drama just went. Nuclear.
It absolutely did. So Austin arrives in Salem, right? And almost immediately, he connects with Carrie Brady. Their romance started out really sweet, very genuine. They quickly became this central love story, kind of the wholesome, maybe traditional soap couple at first.
And then, January 1993, enter Carrie's half-sister, Sammy Brady.
And from the second Sammy laid eyes on Austin, she developed this incredibly intense, almost pathological obsession with him.
Yeah, obsession is the right word. She saw Austin and Carrie's relationship not as something, to respect, but basically as an obstacle she had to demolish. At any cost.
Sammy was just relentless. Her entire character, for years, became defined by these elaborate, often completely outrageous schemes to break them up and win Austin for herself.
This rivalry, it wasn't just a side plot. It was the main engine driving a huge chunk of the show for years and years.
It's really hard to overstate how significant that triangle was. It set the stage for so much drama down the line.
And things weren't exactly smooth sailing for Austin and Carrie even before Sammy's worst schemes kicked in. There was that whole thing tied to Austin's boxing past.
Right, he refused to throw a fight, which angered some let's just say, bad people.
And the consequence was horrific. Acid was thrown on Carrie's face.
Yes, causing scarring, needing reconstructive surgery. It was a really brutal storyline early on that tested their bond.
And during that difficult time, Austin suffered a huge loss, too. His father, Curtis, he was unalived.
Yeah, Curtis Reed met a violent end, and his sister, Billy, was actually the prime suspect for a while.
And it was during Billy's trial, wasn't it, that the whole truth about Kate Roberts being their mother came out, amidst all that chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got Austin and Carrie dealing with physical trauma, family secrets exploding, grief, and all the while Sammy is just escalating her obsession in the background.
And her schemes. I mean, they reached a level of manipulation that just became infamous. Truly shocking stuff.
Infamous is definitely the word. One of the most talked about, most controversial plots happened in January 1995. Austin and Carrie had broken up briefly.
And Sammy, she took things to a really dark place. She drugged Austin.
Yes. And then, in a truly horrifying act, she basically made him believe she was Carrie. She violated him. Our sources call it a grape.
It was portrayed as him being completely unaware until the morning after. Just devastating.
Sources recount his absolute horror and devastation when he woke up and realized the truth, that it was Sammy. It was a deeply distorting storyline, and it really cemented Sammy's villain status for a lot of viewers back then.
Sammy fled Salem right after that, didn't she? But she came back.
Oh, she came back. In July 1995,
Mm-hmm.
with another bombshell, she claimed she was pregnant and that the baby was Austin's.
The baby who would turn out to be Will Horton.
Exactly. And this just put Austin in this agonizing position. He saw himself as this stand-up guy, strong sense of right and wrong. He felt completely obligated to do the right thing by Sammy because of the supposed child.
Even though his heart was still totally with Carrie, Sammy's manipulation had just trapped him.
On a devastating level, yeah. The truth about the drugging, about the grape, it finally came out in June 1996. Thanks to Kate, actually, and Sammy's friend Jamie Caldwell.
So with that exposed, Austin and Carrie could finally reunite.
They did reunite, but Sammy Brady, she does not give up easily. Soon after, Will was abducted.
Oh my God.
And Sammy cleverly used that situation to manipulate Austin into marrying her in September 1996. The excuse was it would help bring Will home somehow.
Unbelievable. Did that marriage last?
No, it was annulled pretty quickly, but it just showed the lengths she'd go to just to keep a hold on him.
And then the twists kept coming. Sammy had that serious car accident, right? New Year's Eve, 1996.
Yeah, and Austin felt incredibly guilty because he'd just told her he hated her right before the crash, and the accident caused Sammy to develop amnesia.
Amnesia, the classic soap trope. But it was specific, wasn't it?
Yes, it conveniently wiped out her memory of the past 3 years, basically. All the worst things she'd done to Austin and Carrie.
Oh, convenient is right. So what did Austin do?
Feeling responsible and genuinely believing it was the best thing for Sammy and for Will, who he still thought was his son, he remarried Sammy.
Wow. While she had amnesia. That's complicated.
Deeply complicated. Of course, eventually, Sammy did regain her memory. And around the same time, she also discovered the truth about Will's paternity from some medical records.
That Lucas Horton was actually Will's father.
Exactly. And did she tell Austin?
Let me guess. No.
Of course not. She kept that massive secret completely hidden from him. Secrets were Sammy's currency.
So she's got her memory back. She knows Will isn't Austin's, but she's still married to Austin and pretending otherwise.
Pretty much. And they were even planning another wedding ceremony, renewing their vows or something, set for September 1997.
Okay, I feel like something big is about to happen.
Oh, it did. In a moment that is absolutely iconic day's history, Terry Brady interrupted the ceremony.
Yes! She burst in.
And exposed everything. Sammy's faked amnesia, the fact she'd known for months, and the huge truth bomb. Lucas was Will's real father.
Talk about stopping a wedding. Imagine being Austin in that moment.
Reeling from yet another massive betrayal by Sammy, he was completely heartbroken, devastated. He left Sammy standing right there at the altar, couldn't go through with it.
And then,
what did he do?
In a move that probably made fans cheer, he turned around and married Carrie. That very same day.
Finally. After everything. It felt like the ultimate payoff for their love story.
It really did. But, this is Salem. Happiness is often fleeting, especially when Sammy's still around.
Right. So what happened next? Sammy didn't just disappear.
Nope. She came back, fought for custody of Will, got engaged to Franco Kelly. Then Franco was unalived. Wait, who unalived Franco?
Lucas Roberts, Austin's half-brother.
Whoa. Okay, so Lucas unalived Franco. What happened then?
Well, Kate Roberts, Austin's mother, trying to protect Lucas, covered up the murder and framed Sammy for it.
Kate framed Sammy, her own former daughter-in-law. Wow.
It was messy. And Austin, still tangled up in his feelings for Sammy and maybe that sense of responsibility, he actually tried to help her. He fled town with Sammy to help her hide from the police.
Austin went on the run with Sammy while married to Carrie. Oh, Carrie must have loved that.
Exactly. Sammy was eventually caught, put on trial, nearly executed. The truth about Kate framing her came out at the absolute last second. Classic soap opera style.
But the damage to Austin and Carrie's marriage was done, right?
Immense damage. Carrie felt abandoned, like their relationship was just falling apart because Austin was so consumed with helping Sammy, yet again.
And this is when Dr. Mike Horton comes into the picture.
Yes. Mike developed feelings for Carrie, offered her the support Austin wasn't providing. And eventually, Carrie and Austin broke up again.
And Carrie left Salem.
She did. In November 1999, she moved to Israel with Mike.
Wow. So Austin and Carrie finally get married, and it still falls apart because of Sammy, basically.
Pretty much the pattern. And what's really wild is, after Carrie left, Austin actually rekindled his romance with Sammy later that same year.
No. After everything.
Yes, their relationship stayed incredibly tumultuous, on again, off again. Austin had brief flings with Greta, with Nicole, but he and Sammy kept circling back to each other.
Did they try to get married again? Please tell me they didn't.
They got engaged again. Spring 2002.
Oh, for crying out loud. What blew it up this time?
Sammy, of course. She blackmailed Victor Kiriakis. Used some leverage she had to force Victor to transfer Austin's job to Hawaii to get him away from Salem. Specifically to get him away from Lucas, who Sammy still saw as competition somehow. When Austin found out the manipulation,
he left her at the altar again. Second time.
Second time leaving Sammy at the altar. He'd finally had enough, apparently, and he left Salem in 2002.
Okay, so that's the end of Muldoon's first run, essentially wrapped up in that triangle. Then Austin Peck takes over. Austin returns in 2005.
Right. Peck is Austin now. He comes back for Lucas and Sammy's next wedding attempt, which, spoiler alert, didn't happen. Austin ended up staying and moving in with Sammy, trying to support her.
So they're living together again, even after everything.
Yep. And they even went into business together, formed Austin Reed and Company ARC with Nicole, and ARC ended up taking over another company called High Style.
High Style. Does that name ring a bell?
It should, because High Style was run by none other than Carrie Brady, who had secretly returned to the U.S. by this point. Austin didn't know it was her company initially.
Oh my gosh, but Lucas knew, didn't he?
Lucas knew, and he deliberately kept it from Austin. Why? Because Lucas still wanted Carrie for himself. He figured if Austin took over her company, it would cause conflict and keep them apart.
That is some next-level scheming from Lucas and Sammy. Was she in on this?
Bizarrely, yes. Sammy and Lucas actually worked together on this. Sammy wanted Carrie out of the way so she could have Austin. Lucas wanted Carrie for himself. A very tangled web.
Wow. Okay, and then came the genetic marker lie. This sounds completely nuts.
It was peak soap opera insanity. Sammy found out Dr. Lexi Carver was having an affair with Tech, and she blackmailed Lexi.
What did she make Lexi do?
She forced Lexi to fabricate this devastating story. Lexi told Austin and Carrie that they shared extremely rare genetic markers. Meaning, any children they conceived together would suffer severe, possibly fatal birth defects. It was a cruel, calculated lie designed to convince them they could never safely build a family together.
That is unbelievably cruel, just to keep them apart.
Exactly. And Carrie, completely believing this heartbreaking lie, felt she had no future with Austin. She moved on, got engaged to Lucas, then she had a false positive pregnancy test.
Oh, no.
Which made her and Lucas rush their wedding. And she found out it was a hysterical pregnancy. She wasn't pregnant at all.
This poor woman, what an emotional wreck she must have been.
Totally distraught.
Yeah.
And still deeply in love with Austin, despite the supposed genetic barrier. And she made a mistake. She cheated on Lucas with Austin.
Who was still engaged to Sammy at this point. Where did this happen?
On the roof of their apartment building for maximum drama.
And let me guess, they got caught.
Oh, you know it. Lucas and Sammy walked right in on them.
Oh, the confrontation must have been epic.
Sources mention a bitter tirade. Carrie, caught and raw, got kicked out of the apartment. She immediately gave Lucas annulment papers.
Did he sign them?
Signed them instantly. But just minutes later, a note slides under Sammy's door from the mysterious gloved hand.
Revealing
that Sammy had blackmailed Lexi about the whole genetic marker lie. The truth finally came out.
Boom. How did Carrie react?
Furious. She attacked Sammy, threatened to expose Lexi, and she followed through, reporting Lexi to the hospital board and the AMA. Lexi got fired. The lie had huge consequences.
So after all that chaos and betrayal, Carrie must have felt done with Salem.
Completely done.
Yeah.
Austin suggested they leave together, move to Switzerland. He had a job offer. She could reclaim High Style.
Did she agree?
She did, but only if they got married first. She wanted that commitment, so they went straight to the justice of the peace.
Any interruptions this time?
One last bit of Sammy drama. A drunk Sammy showed up and tried to stop this wedding too.
You cannot be serious.
But Carrie finally had enough. Right there, she disowned Sammy, told her they were done.
Wow. Good for Carrie. So they got married and left?
Yep. Said their goodbyes, left for Switzerland in 2006, hoping for a fresh start.
Did we hear from them again?
Briefly in 2010, Carrie popped back and told Sammy they were happy, trying for a family. And then, They both returned to Salem in September 2011.
And this is when Patrick Muldoon came back to the role.
Exactly. Patrick Muldoon was Austin again. He'd apparently become a forensic accountant while they were away.
Forensic accountant. Okay, interesting career change. How long did this return last?
Not super long for Muldoon or Christy Clark as Carrie. They, along with some others, were let go from the show in April 2012. That was the end of Muldoon's second run as Austin on the main show.
So it really has been over a decade since Patrick Muldoon was last seen as Austin Reed regularly on Days. Any appearances since then were Austin Peck?
That's right, more than 10 years.
Wow, that history is just packed. That love triangle, Austin, Carrie, Sammy, it's genuinely one of the most iconic, enduring, dramatic storylines the show ever did.
It really shows the power of that kind of rivalry, the obsession, the lengths characters go to. Austin was often caught in the middle, but he was the absolute heart of those emotional stakes for years.
Okay, but Patrick Muldoon, he didn't just vanish after 2012, right? He's had a career outside of Salem.
Oh, absolutely. Our sources make that very clear. He's had a really substantial and varied career. Even before Days, remember, he was on Saved by the Bell back in 1991.
Right. Jeff Hunter, Zach's rival, that's a whole different kind of iconic.
Exactly. And after his first big Days run in the 90s, he transitioned pretty successfully into primetime TV and movies. He had that exclusive development deal with Spelling Entertainment.
Which was a huge deal back then, Aaron Spelling. That led to
playing a very different role. The popular villain Richard Hart on Melrose Place. That was 1995-1996. Complete opposite of Austin Reed.
And he was in Starship Troopers, too, the movie.
Yep. Xander Barkalow in 1997. Big sci-fi action film. So he showed real range early on. Wholesome soap hero, primetime villain, sci-fi action guy.
Definitely not just one type of role. And since then,
he's been incredibly busy, especially in TV movies. Lots of Hallmark, lots of Lifetime. Titles like A Boyfriend for Christmas, Boyfriend Killer. You get the idea.
Yeah, those titles tell a story. And he works behind the camera, too.
That's right. He's got several film producer credits, Badge of Honor, The Card Counter, which got good reviews, The Comeback Trail, Marlowe. So he's involved in different aspects of filmmaking.
So he's definitely been a consistently working actor and producer. He hasn't just been waiting by the phone for Days to call.
Not at all. Which makes his decision now to step back into Salem even more interesting. It feels like a deliberate choice to revisit this character.
Which brings us back to that big question the show itself teased. The why. Why now? What's bringing Austin Reed, played by Patrick Muldoon, back to Salem in 2025?
That really is the central mystery. Days hasn't released any specific storyline details, but looking at our sources, looking at the context of what's happening on the show, we can definitely make some educated guesses.
Okay, let's get into the speculation. What are the most likely reasons? The biggest one seems tied to a huge milestone for the show, right?
Precisely. Days of Our Lives hits its 60th anniversary in November 2025. 60 years on the air. That is monumental.
It really is incredible. And the writers have been talking about marking this in a really big way. Our sources confirm they're planning a huge gala event in Salem.
Yep, a big party. And it's designed specifically as a way to bring back lots of beloved, familiar faces from the show's long history.
That's a classic soap move for an anniversary, isn't it? A big event brings everyone back.
Totally classic.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense that Austin Reed, a character so central to those iconic 90s stories, would be high on the wish list for a 60th anniversary return. He might just be coming back mainly for this big celebration.
That seems very plausible. And our sources list a bunch of other confirmed returns for 2025, potentially around this gala. People like Tony DiMera, Anna DiMera,
Jack Devereaux, Jennifer Devereaux, Eric Brady, Sammy Brady.
Wait, you said Sammy Brady. Allison Sweeney is confirmed for 2025.
Listed as confirmed for a 2025 return, yes.
I think our notes also listed Christy Clark as Carrie Brady Reed for 2025.
Also listed for a 2025 return.
Okay, hold on. If Austin, Sammy, and Carrie are all potentially back in Salem around the same time, even if it's just for the anniversary party.
The possibilities are just endless, aren't they? Could that legendary triangle get revisited somehow?
You know it could. You can't put those three in the same fictional room without sparks flying. Even a brief encounter at the gala. The potential for old feelings, old wounds, old rivalries flaring up is enormous.
It's instant drama fuel. Decades worth of history packed into those interactions.
Oh, okay, so the gala is a big reason. But the writers also mentioned something else, didn't they? About the gala leading into something bigger.
Yes, they've teased that the anniversary gala is supposed to launch a new umbrella story that will carry the show into 2026.
So Austin's return might not just be a quick party cameo. He could be part of setting up this longer storyline.
Exactly. His presence could be crucial for kicking off whatever big narrative they have planned for the new year.
Yeah.
His return might have legs beyond just the anniversary week.
Okay, what other potential reasons are hinted at? Family ties.
That's another strong possibility.
Yeah.
We know Austin and Carrie have a son, Noah Reed,
Yeah.
and our sources highlighted a really interesting detail.
The reason they missed Will's funeral in 2015.
Right. They couldn't attend because Noah was graduating high school at that time.
Okay, so if he graduated high school in 2015, do the math, he'd be, what, early to mid-20s now?
Exactly. Roughly the same age as the current group of young adults in Salem. Maybe college age, maybe starting a career.
So, could Austin's return be tied to Noah coming to Salem? Maybe Noah's the one returning, and Austin follows or visits.
That's a very compelling theory. Bringing back a legacy character's kid, now grown up, is a classic soap move. It introduces new blood, but with built-in history. Noah could be a new love interest, get tangled in drama. Austin's return might be paving the way for Noah's arrival.
That makes a ton of sense. And then there's Austin's mom, Kate.
Kate Roberts Brady, still very much a major player in Salem, always involved in something. Our sources even mention recent spoilers about Kate worrying about EJ threatening her kids.
Right, so Austin's return could simply be about Kate. Maybe she needs him, maybe he's checking on her, maybe he gets pulled into her latest drama.
A mother-son reunion story is definitely plausible. It connects him to the current canvas easily. Given Kate's track record, there's always drama to get pulled into.
So, Anniversary Gala, launching a new umbrella story, paving the way for Noah, or reconnecting with Kate, those seem like the main possibilities.
Or maybe it's just a shorter visit, a specific arc tied to one thing.
But that 9-month filming delay suggests something more substantial.
It kind of does, yeah.
Hmm.
Taping now for early 2026 air means he's likely filming a decent chunk of episodes. It feels like more than just a quick pop-in for the party, but we don't know for sure.
Okay, so the why is still officially a mystery, but we have some really strong contenders based on the timing and context. The ambiguity is kind of fun for the fans right now, gives everyone something to speculate about.
Absolutely. It keeps people talking and guessing until he finally shows up on screen.
So let's connect this back to you, the listener, the fan. Why is this news, Patrick Muldoon returning as Austin Reed, why is it genuinely exciting? It really boils down to connection, doesn't it?
It truly does. This return taps right into the deep history of the show. Austin Reed, as we've just spent all this time unpacking, was absolutely beloved. He was at the center of one of today's most memorable, most iconic love triangles. Bringing him back, played by the original actor, just evokes this powerful sense of nostalgia for what many fans see as a real golden era for the show.
And it holds that tantalizing potential, right, to maybe revisit those classic intense dynamics, especially with Sammy. Can you imagine the fireworks if they cross paths again after all this time?
Or it could explore totally new things. His relationship with an adult son, Noah. A deeper dive into his bond with his mother, Kate.
And his return isn't happening in isolation. It's part of this bigger wave the show seems to be doing, bringing back these familiar fan favorite faces. It feels like they're really building something for the 60th anniversary.
It creates this huge buzz, this momentum. It feels like the show is really embracing and celebrating its own history and celebrating the fans who stuck with it for so long.
Yeah, and that mystery around the why just adds another layer of anticipation. It's the puzzle piece everyone's waiting to see slotted into place.
Exactly. It's not just, oh, a character's back. It's the potential for stories and interactions that have been off the table for over a decade.
So, thinking back on Austin's whole journey, he was often manipulated, often caught in the middle, but at his core, he was presented as a fundamentally decent guy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And that decency made the betrayals he suffered, especially from Sammy, feel even more impactful. His history with Sammy and Carrie is just legendary stuff for Days fans.
It really is. That whole saga is like a masterclass in soap opera storytelling. The impossible choices, the shocking betrayals, the seemingly endless fight for love against just insane odds.
Absolutely. So looking ahead now, it's really fascinating to speculate. How will Austin's past in Salem shape his present? Will that forensic accountant background suddenly become relevant? Could he uncover some financial scheme?
Ooh, interesting angle. And how will he navigate being back in the same town as Kate? Or potentially an adult son, Noah? And the biggest question, maybe, with Sammy and Carrie also possibly returning around the same time. How does that history play out now?
Will old feelings resurface? Or maybe, More likely, with Sammy involved, will old rivalries just explode again?
It's almost impossible to imagine those three characters coexisting peacefully in Salem. Their shared history is just too intense, too dramatic to ignore.
It really is.
So as we look forward to Patrick Muldoon's return as Austin Reed, part of this really exciting wave of returns leading up to the 60th anniversary, here's something to think about. In a town like Salem, just dripping with secrets and schemes, is Austin's comeback mainly going to dredge up all that complicated history? Will we see echoes of those legendary conflicts? Or is he actually here to forge a totally new path, maybe focused on Noah, maybe that forensic accounting thing, something completely different?
Or maybe a bit of both.
Could be. And either way, how might his presence, just him being back on the canvas, change things for the current residents, injecting that potent dose of history into the present day? That's really something to chew on while we wait, probably until early 2026, to see how it all unfolds on screen.
It certainly leaves the door wide open for tons of possibilities. Gives fans a lot to look forward to and speculate about.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the really highly anticipated return of Patrick Muldoon as Austin Reed to Days of Our Lives. We've tried to pull all the key details from our sources, dig into the history, explore the speculation, give you the whole picture.
Who really hope you enjoyed unpacking all that classic Salem drama with us and thinking about what might be coming next.
If you did enjoy this deep dive, please make sure to give this episode a like. It genuinely helps us reach more classic soap fans like you. And definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future explorations into the very twisty world of daytime drama. And we would absolutely love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below. Tell us your favorite Austin Reed storyline ever, or what you hope to see him get tangled up in when he finally gets back to Salem. Thanks so much for joining us.